Hello everyone, my name is Bart. I am 20 years old. I'm from Belgium, Mechelen. I'd like to make this video. I'm kind of starting a series. It's Tuesday today. I have a PTQ on Saturday, and I just like to make a video because I didn't really find anybody who was like telling people about preparation for PTQs. Kind of like just explaining how to prepare for your first PTQ, because this is my first PTQ I'm going to, and I'm hoping to get a decent result. I'm just hoping to get fun mostly, and maybe if I'm a bit lucky and my deck choice is right, make top 8, who knows. But I thought I'd just guide you through what I'm doing right now. First things first, I checked some websites to find some useful tips for the event itself, like bring enough drinks, bring enough food, and try to watch each match as a whole, and don't bring your losses to the next game. That kind of stuff is stuff I will talk about when the week proceeds, mostly on Friday after F&M, because that's something I don't really have any experience in, so I can't really give you useful tips right now. I will in my report after the PTQ tell you what I've learned on that subject. But for today I would like to talk to you about my first day of deck testing, and and just how I did it, because like most of you maybe, I am not part of a team. I do have a Magic Online account, only I don't really play on it because I don't really invested any money in it. It's just for holiday cube drafting, etc. I have my real life decks, but my local community doesn't get together very often, and not to say anything bad about them, it's just that our standard environment really isn't that diverse, and I just wanted to search for a bigger crowd to play against. So I went on the internet, found Cockatrice. It's a program, you can download it, and it's a simulator of MTG. It's a little bit harder to learn than MTGO because you have to do more things yourself, but once you get used to it, it's a really good program. And I started out with my favorite deck in Standard for the last 2 months. I started out with Blue-White Heroic. Now, if you're watching this video in a later part, you can just skip it. You can go to the end. In the end of my series, I will have useful information for all formats, but today is just about the Theros Khans format before Fate Reforged. So I was playing on Cockatrice with Blue-White Heroic, or White-Blue Heroic, however you want to call it. And I quickly found out that the deck really isn't that good in the current metagame. I mean, it's good against the green decks, but the problem is people are starting to sideboard against you because the deck is really big. It's like the second most, I think it's the second most played deck on MTGO. Don't really know. It's in the top 3 on MTG Goldfish, I think. So it's gotten kind of a target, and when a deck like that has a target on its face, it's really hard to play and really hard to win. I mean, my game ones, mostly I won. I played about, I don't know, 60 games with it, and I won about 75 to 80% of my game ones. Problem is, your win rate plummets after sideboarding because everybody has good sideboards against you, because they know you're a deck that can creep out of nothing and just kill them before they can set up. So I decided to look for another deck. Most people would start looking at other good decks in Standard, like CTC Whip, Abzan Midrange, Jeskai tokens, but I took another approach. I thought, why should I take the most played decks? So I went and took one of my favorite decks from one of my favorite deck builders. I took the Red-White Tokens deck from Sam Black that he played at Worlds and the Invitational for Star City Games. And I just net decked it to start with. I've done right around 100 games now. I've changed a couple of cards. I will bring a deck list, but I will only bring the deck list on Friday, on my video Friday. So you will have the final one that I will use in the PTQ. Now, things can still change, of course. It's a good deck. it has a lot of good matchups. You have, so for those of you who don't know the deck, it's basically a red white tokens deck. You play Hoarding Outburst, you play Wingmate Rocks, Raise the Alarms, and just, I think Seeker of the Way is the only other creature, and then you have Heliod's Pilgrim, and Heliod's Pilgrim is the most important part of the deck because it fetches out only one aura, and that aura is Chained to the Rocks. So you basically have 7 Chained to the Rocks in your deck, so you can switch around to become a control deck very easily. It's something I like to do because I like the tempo based decks where you can just play a couple of tokens, and just bash people's face with it, and when they start dropping Pelucranoses, Arbor Colossuses, whatever they want, you just start saying, okay, I will chain that, I will lightning strike that, I will stoke the flames that, and you just play your removal game, and while you do it, you keep a couple of creatures around so that your 2 win conditions can function right. So you have Wingmate Rock, it almost always gets the raid trigger because you keep on having useless tokens or leftover Helios Pilgrims, and you have Eidolon of Countless Battles, which in this deck I was a little bit skeptical at first, but it's amazing. It's almost always at least a 6/6 because you have your creatures and your Chain to the Rocks to boost it up. And your Chain to the Rocks usually don't get removed unless in game 2 or 3 when they use a race, but so be it. When they use a race, they are not killing your creature, so that's good. So I really like the deck. So far my win percentage against a field of sometimes the normal decks, I've played Heroic a couple of times, I've played against Abzan Whip a lot, DC Whip a lot, I've played against some blue-black, white-black and white-blue control decks. I've played against one guy who was playing Abzan Soldiers, like with the Kitkin Soldier that can, when it attacks, it puts other soldiers into play, and he just built that with Anaphenzas and Bremasses. So you see there are homebrews as well on the system, which is good I think, because I don't know, maybe I will get into some homebrews at the PTQ. So I don't really have any more important information for you today, other than it's really important to test, because when I started playing with the deck I really wasn't that good, and now I'm starting to feel confident that I know the decision trees, whether to mulligan or not, what to sideboard in what matchup, and it's really important that you get to know your deck. So therefore my tip for today is always test before an event where you want to do something substantial, where you're not just there to have fun, because I found, well, I usually don't test, and now I thought, well, it's a PTQ, so I better test, and it really helps out a lot. So find an online community, find friends you can test with, or use Cockatrice. I do it and it works for me, it's fine. So, well, that's about it for today, so I'll see you tomorrow then.